if that's okay, everybody. Yeah? Everybody okay with a little bit of experiment? Yeah. Stella, last day, you okay for an experiment? Right. Okay. I want you to imagine that you're going to take a journalism course. And this is your very first day. And the lecturer at the front of the audience says, right, I'm going to give you a sort of story, and I want you to come up with a headline. Next Thursday, the college is going to be closed because President Trump is going to come to visit us. I know. I told you this is Fantasyland.
What's he doing?
He's come to open a new state-of-the-art library. Instead of actually going and searching for books, this state-of-the-art library enables you to do it on voice command. You come in, look to the interface, and you voice activate, and it will tell you where to find the book you're looking for. And then with your phone, you'll be able to walk over and actually find the book. Okay? I want you to write an article for the campus magazine. Okay? Now, President Donald Trump is also going to give some speeches afterwards, talking about his policies for the coming year. And for that reason, the college is closed. I want you to write down what you, as campus journalists, are going to write as your headline.
Can you give us a scenario again, please?
Right. Donald Trump is coming. Now, the college is closed because Donald Trump is coming to a state-of-the-art library. Okay? It's voice activated. The books, you can sort of come in and you speak to it, it tells you where to find your book you're looking for. And if you don't know, you can just talk to interface with it. Computer, find me a book on Stoicism. And then afterwards he's going to give a few speeches and then it's going to go. So next Thursday. Okay. Who we got a headline?
Yeah.
Go on, what's your headline?
Get lost, trumped out.
Good one. Any others?
I did have this right.
No, don't matter. Just
I put voice activation as 2D Trump.
yeah, good. It's good. It's good headlines. Anything else?
You might have voice activation at college library shuts Trump out.
Good one. Anything else?
Trump blows the lid off the book industry.
Right. Okay. The reason I told you a story, which magazine are you writing it for? I did say the campus
I
magazine.
did.
And who is the audience, the campus magazine?
Students.
What do students care about?
Themselves.
Celebrities.
Sorry?
Celebrities and technology.
No, most students I know care about sex, drugs, rock and roll, and getting up in the morning.
Or not.
Or not. So I suggest to you, the audience more appropriate to the people you're writing for is college closed on Thursday. That would grab their attention far more than anything to know about voice activation, libraries, or Donald Trump.
Or pass your test speaking to your phone.
Yes? So the point of telling that story and things is to remind you, you should always start with the audience, where the audience are. If they're over here, there's no point talking about taking them over here until you've actually got them here. You've got to capture attention while they're here, and then lead them to over here. Okay? That was my little bit of intro. Welcome again to the sixth week. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's been a fantastic course so far. So let's enjoy. Who's first? I think it was mine, wasn't it? Good luck. Thank you.
My speech is called A Sense of Belonging. So what do I mean by a sense of belonging? Maybe it would be easier if I explained what is not perhaps a sense of belonging. But if you would bear with me, do you mind if I ask you a few questions? Since the topic is one that is quite sensitive. Have you visited another country, gone abroad? Raise your hands if you have. That's all of us except Tony. And have you lived in another country to the one you have born, whether you've lived or are still living in, to the one that you were born in originally. Raise your hands if you have. Okay. The reason I ask that second question is perhaps best illustrated by what I'm going to share with you about Zara. Zara is a 16-year-old who hails from Zimbabwe, is intelligent, speaks fluently English and French, and is very excited because she has got a place at a college in Kent, in England. And she's waving goodbye to her friends and family, really excited about what's going to happen. So let me take you some 3 months after, while Zara is in college, and now it is lunchtime. Rachel is preparing the drinks. 2 coffees, 1 tea. Ah, who wants sugar? What did you say? The other girl? What other girl? Oh, you mean the new girl? I don't know. She doesn't say anything. I don't think she speaks English. Oh well, she can ask, can't she? When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Glenn, don't get the biscuits. Leave some for us. In the corner, by the patio doors, is Zara. Zara's looking up. She shivers because the cold's coming through. She's been used to a lot of heat, and she feels cold. She looks at the trees and somehow feels like them. The leaves have fallen off. They're down on the ground, and she can see far into the distance all the colours of brown and gold. And she just likes the quiet, just likes looking out there. And then she sees a feather floating down to the ground. And she thinks, must be a bird out there. And then there are a few more feathers. So she looks up, trying to work out where the bird is. And then she sees there's loads of white floaty things coming down. And it gets thicker, and suddenly she goes, oh, snow! And all the others rush to the window. And they look and they say, oh, it's snowing outside, come on, we can play snowballs. And it's getting really thick now, so they swing the door open past Zara. Zara retreats to the centre of the room, where there is a stool, and she sits. So what has happened to Zara? What Zara has got is no longer a sense of belonging. She feels estranged and she is withdrawn. Looking at some of the theories that go to a sense of belonging, if we look at the hierarchy of needs with Maslow, he talks about belonging and being related to a group that helps us feel to belong. So do other theories, and one of the other ones as well is, if you look at what Tony Robbins says, he talks about a sense of connection and significant people in one's life. So the way of looking at Zara, one of the things I do, if you flip the thing over and have a look at what you've got there in front of you, you will see that by narration, Zara is able to tell about her family and does a genogram or a family tree about her family. And in there you find that she has father, mother, 2 sisters. And then we go on to find out a little bit to what is the next bit about relationships. So we've talked about her identity with her family, but more importantly, how does she see those members? And we come to an equal map. And you will see that Zara has shown her father has been very close to her. Her mother and sisters are there, but she feels her mother is very busy looking after the younger ones. And also you will see that Zara identifies a teacher as being just as close as her father. This enables one to build upon trying to replicate what Zara had at home in Zimbabwe, to find a teacher that could also be giving her what she's got. One of the other theories that is used is Dilts with his logical levels. And in there he talks about the business of who am I, my identity, but also about how we relate to others. And he also talks about the environment, where am I? The good thing about this is that if you play with one of the levels, it has a dominoes effect on the other level. So wherever you go in, whether you start with where she is with her current situation, whether you work with her family or who she relates to, you're still getting movement and you're changing Zara's behaviour. And that is one of the things that I wanted to show today, that a sense of belonging can alter if you use the right strategies. Thank you.
Okay, sense of belonging, and described in a sense of what may perhaps not be belonging. Anybody like to comment?
Yeah, I really like the fact that you are always managed to create stories, and it's not only descriptive, but you actually show the image again. I mean, the way that I mean is that you describe how everything around, and then you say, and this is what happened. So it's like I can imagine the theater when the scene is actually changing. And you managed to give a very good message out of that. I'm struggling to give you recommendations because I keep liking what I keep liking every week, and I don't see. Maybe. What we could change sometimes is that I think you got very comfortable with playing a lot with putting your voice down. Maybe you could play a little bit more with using it in a more powerful way instead of.
It is a warrior subject. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take it.
Thanks for that, Stella.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to give us 2 stars and a wish for Mona?
1, beautiful story, and from start to finish, it was on point, talking about sense of belonging. And 2, told us about Sarah, which was a very, very good story, and brought it down to how it relates to our relative and the philosophy behind the story, or the reason behind the story. Recommendation, number 1, the story, because you've got just 6 minutes.
Yeah.
The story was a bit too long.
Yeah.
And 2, you're talking about sense of belonging. When you speak, first and foremost, just like Jeremy started in the introduction, you first of all put us into consideration. And whatever you say or whatever you do is what we are going to relate to. If you are there with energy, we will be filled with energy. If you are there with loads of emotion, we will be filled with loads of emotion. So throughout your speech, what I get fed with was emotion. And your speech is much more than emotion. So I think there should be a bit of energy in it. I mean, some meat, kind of. I like the movement from here to here and the snow falling down. I thought it was really, bed feathers, but it wasn't. However, show us more energy. You've got it. I know this place is a little bit cold, but just show us more energy that, yeah, this is Zara and she this and that.
I cut a chunk out actually because I was then going to bring it to be more relevant to us.
Okay.
But I saw the yellow card and I realised that the story took longer. I mean, I did think about just narrating it very quickly, but I had to sort of show that it can be replicated with adults if I didn't get the time.
Next time, at times, we can,
But then
if we feel we have a
switch.
longer story,
Yeah.
we should use antidotes, or just some quotes, just a little bit, yeah. In the place of story, they just go into the tier of what you talk, go into the body directly because we've got loads, and we didn't get to go through too much. So I think there was a lot in here that we should have gone through.
True.
Okay. Stella wanted to make another point.
Yeah, sorry, actually there is something. I got lost when we were using the support sheets. You were talking about Sarah being close to her teacher and her father, and I was in this one, I was what's going on. So it might have been good to maybe
show it before.
Put a number or have them with you so you can show them so I can know was going on, because we were quite quick through the papers and I didn't really know
Thanks,
what was
Sarah.
going on.
Anybody else want to make a comment?
I just kind of echo that really. I like the start, I like the story. It did feel, you got to a certain point, you suddenly thought, oops, I don't think you saw the cards, but you suddenly seemed to rush. And then we went to these, and I didn't hear another word because I was so busy thinking,
Yeah, that was
is
the
it that?
trouble.
And because I think maybe 1 or 2 or 3 of these, or
Would have been
like
enough.
Stella just said, if you said, you know, if you have a look at the top one and here, and then I've just got that one in front of me, I'd have followed it. But I was kind of literally kind of flicking through the amount, and I was looking at it and thinking, I'm missing something, and
So what would have been better, to do maybe the eco map and the genogram?
probably.
Yeah,
What
okay,
do you
just-
think would have been better?
I think it would have, because that would have made it immediately more relevant.
Yeah.
So I could have struck the other two.
Especially because you'd missed the back end. You know, you said you'd kind of
Yes.
gone from here to kind of here.
Yeah.
So I think I get into the real kind of, like Tony just said, the kind of real meat of it would have been the most important thing. So I'd probably just pick 1 or 2 of these things.
Yeah.
But I think you need to, with a group of this size and even a bigger group, you need to identify, because otherwise all you'll hear is ruffling feathers and
Which are the papers?
heads down.
Yeah.
And I think you could have,
Yeah, you got a point. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did think afterwards, you know, put them aside, I should have said. I didn't want anyone to delve into the papers first, so you can't. Because they're not, and that's just what happened, really. How would I have been able to, I need your kind of guidance, really, because with the story, I just wanted to show that impact of not belonging, if you like, but then how could I have made it shorter, or could I have just narrated it?
Can I ask you the question? How would you have done that?
I think that there was one way. I needn't have gone on a bit before. I might have just gone on straight to Zara, looking out the window. And what I was trying to demonstrate was that she couldn't speak, couldn't interact, even though she was seeing snow for the first time. She
Yes.
didn't actually say it.
No.
And that would have been enough, perhaps.
Yeah.
But,
So in terms of context, you were looking to find a way to show belonging,
Yeah.
and what you gave us was a great story about somebody who wasn't belonging, but didn't manage to make it
Put belonging,
if you like. So,
yeah.
so perhaps starting the story, starting
Yes.
the premise.
Yeah,
Without
and
the
then
backstory.
finishing off with how the belonging is done, which is what I was trying to show with the tools of her reclaiming herself, but I didn't say that.
And very much reiterating the stuff about the pieces of paper you handed out. You made particular reference to the Dilts model, which talks about where people belong and the fact you can make that movement, but didn't talk about the connection to Zara. So perhaps it's starting with the end in mind?
Right.
you know, the word I was coming to mind as I was listening there was kind of reverse engineering.
Yeah.
Was kind of thinking what point you were trying to get across, and then kind of working backwards. And if you had 7 minutes, then that's what you've got. And then at least
Yes.
the back end would have been intact, and the message would have been more impactful, if that makes sense. And like you said, you know this anyway. Maybe just kind of shorten the story at the front.
Yeah.
Can we move on now, please?
How did that, is that helpful?
Yeah, very helpful, thank you.
We've done for time, so any other comments? At the second?
Thank you.
The next speaker, please. And Sophie. A very, very advanced communicator. Specialty speech number 2. Can we please give her a round of applause?
Sorry. I have to admit, when I read the synopsis for the guidelines for the speech, I was just a bit stumped. But then, gradually, the cogs of my brain started to work their magic. And I began to think about inspiration, or people who inspire me, what lifts my spirit. I started to think, as I said, about heroes. I'm not talking about heroes in films or in books, or maybe an imagination, or superheroes. Superheroes from comic books, from TV. All these superheroes are those made up by their creator. They are, as it were, fantasy. They do not exist. I'm talking about more basic than that. Heroes of every day, on the street. They don't wear capes. They can't fly. They can't climb up the walls of New York City like Spider-Man can. They can't escape the Batcave at any given moment with their sidekick Robin. because unfortunately those sorts of superheroes don't exist. But everybody might have had a superhero or a hero help them out in their life. My story starts in March. This may appear not to be the happiest story, and it's not, but the moral of my story is uplifting in itself. It was a Wednesday, it was 4:30 in the afternoon. I had just finished school, working at school I mean, and I get a phone call from my sister. I was in the staff room. She had to break the news to me that our lovely dog Coco wasn't very well. And they were in fact on their way to the specialist vet in Burwood, I think it was. Later on, the news was not good. I made my way to the bus stop in a complete daze. I couldn't believe what I had just heard, those awful words, Coco might have leukemia. I tried to take in this news, as only a few weeks before she had been running all over Hillsby Head. I got onto the bus and still in a bit of a blur, and then I got the second phone call. Yes, Coco had got leukemia, and she'd also got lymphoma. She was not given a chance at all. Sadly, 4 weeks later, we lost Coco. But on the bus that night, a woman got on, and I looked at her, and I don't know why, but I just thought bad things, but I don't know why I did, but I admit I was just not in a good place. But this woman, I didn't know her from Adam, I didn't know her name. She came over to me, and she sat next to me, and she asked me what was wrong. I tried the best I could through my tears to tell her what was wrong. She tried to comfort me the best she could, but it was clear that she didn't really grasp the situation as fully as it was. However, she was truly my hero that night. She made a very dark hour seem even lighter. I don't think I'll ever forget her genuine kindness, and the spirit of Coco still lives on over Hillsby Head. Thank you.
Alistair?
Yeah, thanks so much on that. So that was project 2 from the speciality speeches, and the aim was to uplift our spirits. I'll just read out the objectives of what I was looking for there. I was to identify and understand the basic differences and similarities between inspirational speeches and other kinds of speeches. Learn how to evaluate audience feeling and establish emotional rapport. And develop a speech style and delivery that effectively expresses inspirational content by moving the audience to adopt your views. Well, you started off really great. You told us what you're going to speak about, heroes. And what I liked is you told us what you were not going to talk about. You told us about how people have an image in their head of what a superhero is, and they, running around with capes on. But that isn't what you were going to tell us about. You were talking about everyday heroes. And then you followed it up with a very emotional story about your dog Coco, and the unfortunate news that it got leukemia. And I think we can all relate to a loss like that. So I think you really gripped our attention at that point. The story then developed into how the everyday hero that you experienced was a stranger. And it's a nice story of the kindness of strangers. And I really did feel uplifted after hearing that. It's nice to have reminders that people you don't know can be so comforting. It was very well delivered, and I really think you achieved all the objectives. The only wish I kind of have is I feel like maybe a bit more eye contact. I noticed you were looking straight ahead, which is really, really good, but maybe just a little bit more eye contact. But other than that, it was a fantastic speech. Really impressed. Can I get some feedback from anyone else? Stella?
Yes. I thought it was wonderful, and thank you for sharing with us your story with Coco. I think it was uplifting and very fair. I think the only wish I will have is maybe to warm up or relax or breathe before you go in. Because once you are into it, you get loose, but at the beginning you start a lot, like,
Yes, yeah.
very hard in your hands. So, yeah, it's just maybe relax a minute before.
Anybody else?
I liked the way you faced it, because you told us about the heroes and like everyday heroes, and then you went into the story, and then you kind of then told us about the stranger. So we were getting drawn at the pace that you were taking us at, and I liked that. I thought that was very accomplished.
Jeremy?
I felt your emotion. You conveyed that emotion really well. I would like to have seen at the beginning, not to have like a rambling intro, like what am I going to be talking about today, whatever it's going to be about. I think it'd be far better to actually try and actually come straight in with a sentence or something. I'm going to talk to you about heroes, not the heroes with capes and things like that. Yeah. Don't worry how we don't need to know how you got to the story, what you're going to decide today.
Right.
Come in with your main point. Yeah. Again, just one other thing, recommendation would be, yes, it could be an uplifting story, but I personally didn't feel uplifted at the end. I think you needed to emphasise that point. The kindness of strangers is really powerful. Yeah. And there's lots of people out there who are heroes, and emphasise that a bit more. Okay, but thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, me. I got it.
You got it. You got the power.
Because I know you are much more than you are, and you can do much more better than that. Yeah, we know. I mean, we have seen you spoken lots of times. The thing is, wonderful story. There's nothing. I mean, everything what you spoke about, inspirational, was on point. It's just that myself and you, we are on our way to London. We agreed. But getting to, let me say, Southampton, you stopped and get off. I didn't get to London anymore. I was anticipating to get there, but I didn't get there. And you never told me why. That is exactly where I felt. I was expecting more from this very, very inspirational setup that you're going to tell us or share with us. And you spoke for 3 minutes on something. Really? So I was beginning to wonder, because there was a lot in there, just like you said, that you could have emphasized on how you felt about the woman's Then what kind of relationship do you really have with the dog? I think that is another point of emphasis. Then how the stranger helped you. That's another stranger. Who was the stranger? We only knew that a woman got into the bus. So I think there are other places of emphasis you would have laid on and actually expand a little bit on what you were talking about. Then really inspire us more. We are inspired though, but really, really inspire us.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was good speech too.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay,
I think that's right.
let me just walk right back.
I just move like this table over here.
Yeah, yes, I'm gonna need it. So.
Alright. 2,000 years ago, a boy was born into slavery. He walked with a limp. Some people say that a slave master gave it to him in a moment of anger. However, he rebelled against the hand he was dealt. He came up with an idea that knowledge and freedom were inseparably tied together. At night, he would steal books and teach himself how to read. Eventually, he became so knowledgeable, he convinced his slave owner to free him, and he became a free man. He spent the rest of his life setting up schools and teaching philosophy. That boy was called Epictetus. He once said that people are not disturbed by events, but by the views they take of them. That single idea is actually the foundation for the modern self-help industry. Epictetus was part of a branch of philosophy known as Stoicism. There's a lot of misconceptions about what Stoicism is. A lot of people think it's about suppressing your emotions, or never feeling happy, or not experiencing joy. Or we have an image in our head of someone heroically enduring some really intense hardship, and all the while they're doing it, they have a really stern expression on their face. But actually, Stoicism is more about not letting events or your own emotions overwhelm you. And it's highly effective because it was created and developed by people who led lives of action. It's different from other types of philosophy. It focuses on what you can do right now. Epictetus emphasized it's a lifestyle and not a theory. I believe Stoicism can provide us with a lot of answers. The problems today, we experience today, are actually very similar to the problems humans had thousands of years ago. We all deal with difficult people. We all have, from time to time, very strong emotions. And the point is, when you can't think of solutions for yourself, or there's no one in your immediate environment you can turn to, you can always pick up a book written by a Stoic, written thousands of years ago, and benefit from their advice and put it into practice in your life. I want to leave you with 3 messages Epictetus left us with. The first is, when something bad happens, ask yourself, is it the event you find distressing, or is it your interpretation of it? The second thing Epictetus emphasized was that some things are in our control, and other things are not in our control. He has 2 books that are published, and both of them start with a passage that says our mind and our reactions are in our control, but everything else is external, and therefore we have no control over it. At best, we can influence it. The third thing he left us with was that we should live a simple life. He once said, wealth is not having great possessions, but in having few wants. If you become attached to wealth and comfort too much, they actually stop becoming enjoyable. You get caught up in a cycle of chasing the next material thing, and because of that, when you do finally get it, you don't actually enjoy it that much, and you become scared that you're going to lose it. The richest person is someone who is content with what they already have. This has been quite a serious talk, but Epictetus had a great sense of humor. Upon hearing that someone said something bad about him, he replied, well, he clearly doesn't know about all my other faults.
Sophie.
Well done. I thought it flowed, once you got into it, it flowed well, and it was really well structured. My own personal recommendation would be to let us know the title.
Yeah, I don't actually have one.
Oh, okay. I wasn't quite sure what I was sort of listening to, but I sort of did grasp it.
Yeah, that's your point.
And I thought your notes, to be honest, hindered you more than helped you,
Yeah.
because you seemed a bit hesitant and a bit unsure. But overall, it was a really great speech. And once you got into it and you forgot about the notes, it was actually really a lot better. So it's not a criticism, it's just a recommendation. I don't like that word, criticism. Anybody else? Stella?
Burn your notes. No, I think it was great. The content was great. And you have a great posture. I love that you look powerful when you are there, actually. Like, your body language, the way you stand, I really like that. It always attracts me. But, we talked about that last time. We talked about that before you went in there. Sometimes you're too attached to what you wrote. And that made the speech become monotonous. Like, you always had the same speech because you were just trying to memorize and look at the notes, and you even notice the music. When, if you were actually feeling it, you will then know what's going around you. You know, knowing the kind of, at least know something that is out of this room. So, my recommendation will be, don't ever bring notes again there. We don't know what you are talking about, and you don't even have a title, so you could just, you know, as you did with the book last time, if you forget something, just make something up. And if you don't have something up to make, well, Paciano Padron, he's a Venezuelan public speaker teacher. He's taught to many ambassadors and international politicians, and he says that it's better to make it short and good, make it double good, because people want to listen more, and that's much better than, so make it short and good, if you don't remember.
Yeah. Cheers.
Anybody else?
The speech, your speech is usually very interesting. And they're like, for me, they're like, different topics. And what was brilliant was, actually, I don't think you realised it. You had prompts that you were looking at. You didn't need the paper, you knew it. You actually knew it, yeah. You didn't need it. In fact, what I'd love to do is take that bit of paper and tear it up. You stopped looking at that, and then you got into it, and it was just, you flowed. And you could, as it wasn't sort of, and you have lovely little pauses, I think, that make you time to think, and then you come up with the next bit. And then you finished off with that bit of humour at the end, which was really, really lovely. And so you can. It's just no paper next time because you've got it there.
Right.
You already have it.
You want now to take it.
If it's okay, I'm going to echo what I said last time, which is you are way, way, way better than that. And I'm probably being harsh here, and forgive me if you don't like what I say, but when we first met at the first meeting, we all said, let's be really, really, I think the word was brutal. You're better than that. You're way, way better than that. And I think you knew it because when you walked to sit in your chair, you didn't look happy. You didn't look powerful. And you're a powerful guy, you're a powerful speaker. And I think you knew that you could have done better. So I enjoyed the start because you stood powerfully, you spoke powerfully, and within one or two sentences you looked at your notes. It was, I think you were talking about, was it his leg or whatever it was. You know the story. So my recommendation, wish, plea would be bin the notes, never use them again because you don't need them. It would be like going to a dance and taking a crutch. And you want to dance and do whatever you want to do, but you've got a crutch, you've got to keep it. That's what it felt like. As Sophie said, it hindered you, honestly. You're way better than that. Way, way, way better than that.
All right, cheers.
Thank you.
Right, could I just add something?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Echo exactly what everybody said. And did you watch yourself on video last time?
I did, yeah.
And you see how much better you were
Yeah.
without notes. Yeah? I think the problem is you're coming to to this with doing a speech off the cuff. Yeah? And you're basically and you're using the notes, as Tony says, as a crutch.
Right.
Okay? The thing to do is to actually start thinking about a structure. Yeah? Just have, say, 3 or 4 questions in your mind. Yeah? So if I was talking to you, I might say, well, what is Stoicism?
Right.
I mean, you start off brilliantly with someone like 2,000 years ago, a boy was born into slavery. Yeah? I mean, then you looked at your notes and saw he had a limp. Well, I don't need to know he had a limp.
Okay.
Yeah? And he then started the Stoic revolution. Yeah? So just have 3 questions in your mind. What is Stoicism? What does it mean to us today? Yeah? Questions that someone in a conversation would ask you. Yeah? And then just answer those questions. And that will give you more than enough material for 7 minutes. Yeah? I'm looking forward to the next one.
Cheers.
Can I add something, please?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Title of your speech. The title of your speech, please.
Title?
That's just what I'm asking.
Oh, I don't actually know.
But if you knew,
As a tip,
Okay, I know what to ask you now. What did you talk about?
Epictetus and the foundation of Stoicism.
That is the title.
I've got just a tip for a title. If you can't think of one, just go through your speech and just pick out a line. Like his first line was, 2,000 years ago, a boy was born into slavery. That's the
I was
title.
going to talk about Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was going to as well. But that would be a good title.
I thought Jesus had one in.
Hello. Well, we chair for you.
Hello. Perfect
yeah.
timing.
Very check in there, yeah. Yes, before we do.
Before we go any further, well done, Sophie. Right. Nikki, right. Right, you can do a speech?
Are you number 4 or 5?
Excellent.
You
Right.
4 or 5?
Okay.
I'm for, no?
Right. Right. I've got Stella coming up next.
See?
Right, who's going to partner with Stella? We sort of doing the evaluations and things.
I'm happy doing it, but I've already evaluated, but I'm happy doing it again.
Right, have you done with Sarah Mara?
I have?
Yeah. Have you done it with Nikki?
No.
Right, Tony and Nikki?
We've done it as well. Xiomara.
Have you? Oh, right. Okay.
I've done it with everyone.
You've done it, everyone. I wouldn't say that too loud.
What did you actually do with everyone?
Last time
I'm
they were talking
confused.
about orgasms and lotteries, so I can't speak about how I started with everyone.
Okay,
So, Mark, are you happy to do it again? Okay.
So who is doing it? I'm doing it with you today.
No, Tony, Nikki.
I'm working with Nikki.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's his. But thank you.
Sorry, is it Project 8?
Huh? That's his book, but that's what I know. Yeah, with the legs, yeah. Thank you.
Xiomara, you are evaluating Stella.
I know.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Who wanted to know? Alright, good evening everyone. I want to speak today to you about, well, my speech is called How I Lost 5 pounds in the last week. Do you remember last week I brought these delicious, decadent, yummy cookies and I gave you some to try? Well, that hasn't changed. I've been having 2 to 3 weeks every day or every other day. So obviously I didn't lose any weight by cutting on sugar. What I did was that I started adding 2 servings of vegetables per day to my life. And I decided that it was going to be a habit that's non-negotiable. So basically what it means is that regardless of what happened, I need to have my 2 servings of vegetables every day. Pretty simple. So I decided I would do it in the first half of the day just to make sure it gets done. So I started my day just by making a smoothie. I will do it with apples, banana, I will put some kale, just a handful of kale, and handful of spinach. And then I could add some little bit blueberries, not too many, but some blueberries I will add to them. And basically what I will get is something like this. Or when I feel a little bit more, when I can be at home and be a bit more fancy, something like that. So I could just take this to work, have it in a mug, and I will be having it throughout the day. Now, other thing that I started adding is that I started having a massive amount of salad at lunchtime. So well, I could just take it, I just took it at work with me. I would just start using some bistro salad that had beetroot because it adds a lot of flavors and mixed leaf. And to that I will just add some feta cheese and some avocado. And with that, that was perfect. It doesn't need anything else. It has a lot of taste. But if I wanted some more, I would put some tomatoes and peppers. Now, what is interesting is not only the habit in itself, it's what is the ripple effect that adding one habit to my life has had. And what I said that, Well, because in just 1 week, I realized that I became more organized because I wanted to make sure that I had all the vegetables so I could have them the next day. I started allowing myself to be more creative and to have stuff that I usually wouldn't have. So in this case, I had a juice made of cucumber, which I hate and I will usually never ever have. That I just like disguised it with some carrots and orange. And I realized that I just started thinking, how can I eat better so I can sleep better? I started adding stuff to my dinners as well, and I started looking for companions that were a little bit more healthy than the ones that I was having. And that's when I thought, well, you know what? It needs to be easy, it needs to be tasty, so I just got stuff that I could do in 2 minutes. Now, why did I tell you all this? Well, simple. I used to be this kind of person that is all in or all out, is everything or nothing. I've always been pretty extremist. So every time I try to lose weight, I will go down on sugar, wheat, milk, dairy, and I will go every day to the gym. And in 2 weeks, I will have amazing results, like I do lose weight pretty quick. But obviously I will burn out. So week number 3, I will binge as much as I can, and I will always get worse than how I was before. And that's when I realized that by adding 1 habit per month, I could start making great changes to my life. Why is it? Because 1 habit per month is 12 new habits per year, which in 10 years will be 120 new habits. And that's what I said, how didn't I notice this 10 years ago? Imagine what will I be right now? So another thing that I noticed is that in the same sense, Tinan, I think that's his name, the author of Superhuman Bad Habits, he says that some people are very good at adding and some people are very good at subtracting. So another mistake that I was making is that I was trying to take things out of my life without putting a replacement. Instead of, I'm a person of adding. For me it's much easier to start putting new things and then eventually the other things will just go out. And something that is very important that is being said in Superhuman by Habit as well in the book, they say any new habit that you try, you need to make sure that you do it every day. Don't miss a day. And if you do miss a day, make sure that the next day, your habit and make that activity is the most important thing for you. It's your number 1 priority. And definitely never, ever, ever miss 2 days. Because if you don't, you're telling to your mind that that habit is not important for you, that you don't really care about that, and it's going to be much, much easier to just stop doing it. So if you do it, you might as well just start from the beginning. And why do I say start from the beginning? Well, because some scientists and some researchers have shown that it takes 48 days for your brain to create a new neural path, to create a habit and make it natural for you. But I would say really don't worry about 48 days, just be flexible and see what works for you. And why do I say this? Simply because some habits become more natural, you are going to find that some of them are very easy to take, and you can just speed up and put a new habit, and some of them will require more time and effort. At the end of the day, I just wanted to let you know how I lose 5 pounds by adding just 1 new habit.
Thank you. Well, I have lots of stars. So I was following the structure, and it says where the visual aids appropriate. Yes, of course. I mean, we are talking about all these super tasty smoothies. Clearly visible, and those that help us to remember the point. I think it's a big yes. I mean, I'm going to think about all of these things that you show us. I think it was great that when you mentioned the book, you use it at the end of the speech. Usually what I've seen in your speeches is that there's lots of content, books from the beginning, And then later some examples. This was the other way around, an example from your own life, and later you give us the theory behind. And I just love that kind of a structure because it's so easy to connect every single word from the book. I can see how you add more instead of reducing sugar, for example. So I love that. And my only wish would be maybe include more humor because I think you're super funny, and maybe, you know, losing 5 pounds. I was thinking if she's going to say that she lost 5 pounds buying that in Asda, or she actually lose the weight. So I just didn't know, but I would love you to explore more humor. Anyone who has feedback for Stella? Tony.
You, yeah.
This time. Yeah, I love the start, I love the energy, great use of props. I think the ending, I don't quite know how, but could have been slightly more powerful.
That wasn't the ending.
That's maybe that's right.
It was very
Yeah, it's all right.
If that was the case, I personally would have gone 30 seconds over. I would have liked you to go 30 seconds over and give the, you know, the more powerful ending, because it just didn't feel bang. It just felt kind of gentle. I thought the rest of it was great. Love the energy, love the movement, and love the eye contact as well.
Anyone else want to include more feedback?
I think, Stella, you're a very exciting person. And when you get to do that when you're speaking, your speeches are always very exciting and interesting to listen to. Most especially when you got into the vibe, you became you. The girl I say hi to, the girl who hugs everybody, who gives everybody a high five, that was the person I was listening to. But it got to a point that you just wanted to end it, and you couldn't end it, but you ended it anyway. So I noticed at the end of the day that I just felt, this is not the end of this speech. She just finished, she didn't end it. That was what I noticed. So I just like Tony said, let me just add a little bit to it. I mean, you should just end it with a bang, because everything you did there, I thought we were going to cook a soup. I mean, those veggies there. And 5 pounds in 5 weeks.
1 week.
In a week, I mean. So I think that's something. So, and you told us how you did it. Those props alone are self-evident, but I think you should have ended it with kind of an encouragement or a motivation or something to inspire us all to try something that you are doing. Yeah, thank you. Well done.
Anyone else have any feedback? No? Thank you. It was great.
And after that, we're going to hear from a very, very super lady, Sue.
No, it's just that I want to drop those right there. Okay. Hello. I'm going to do something entirely different to what I intended to do when I came in here tonight. So I'm going to talk about something, I'm going to tell you a story about something that happened to me a couple of years ago, and then I'll explain why I'm going to do that. And it's not what I came in here to do when I walked into London I was going to do. I have been incredibly lucky to have been able to travel. I travelled, when I say travelled, I mean specifically, in 2012, I had a health scare, and one of those times when you have a health scare, it makes you start to think again about what you want to do with your life and how you're going to do it. And it's like, okay, we spent a fortune on doing up this house, why? I tell you what, we'll sell it, and we'll go travelling for a year. And so off we did. So we did that. I mean, that sounds really straightforward. Obviously, there was lots of planning to do and lots of terror in the middle of that. But we decided to go travelling. I'd already agreed that we were going to go and see my sister for Christmas, and she lives in Sydney in Australia. So that was always going to be fabulous. My partner's always wanted to go to India. Never a big ask for me, but he's always wanted to go to India, and I've always wanted to go to Southeast Asia. So we kind of made a plan. And off we went to Australia. We got there in December and we stayed for 2 months. We left on the 4th of February. So we had a fantastic time in Australia. Australia's a great place to be and to have a great time. You just enjoy. And particularly when I've got friends and family there, and we did lots of great stuff. Went lots of great places, went camping, spiders, don't talk about that. And we flew from Sydney, metropolitan, massively amazing, cosmopolitan type of city, into Chennai in India, which used to be Madras. It's now Chennai. A city of 8 million people. The heat was extraordinary. We arrived, we got off the plane, it was midnight in Chennai. You can't take rupees into the country, it's a closed currency, so you can't take money into the country. We were going into an airport in a massive city, expecting card machines. That was a mistake. And we came out of the airport, couldn't get a taxi. We couldn't get a taxi because we didn't have any money. Thank God my brother had given me some $1 notes as a present, and we could use those, and we used those, got a taxi. Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. I have no idea what this man was thinking he was doing. The doors were tied on with string, and we went through gaps with lorries, and you think this is just insane. This is insane. I'm going to die. I am going to die. I've just arrived in India, and this is what's happening. We're in this car, we're doing what feels like 95 miles an hour, it probably isn't. There are no seatbelts, they don't do that. There are no, the traffic lights are just, they're not there. They're entertainment. Anyway, so we do this, and we pull up outside what I thought was a builder's yard. It was the hotel. Judd had booked this over the internet, and for him, he does later recognise that £3 a night for a hotel was possibly a little on the low side. Hadn't told me, and we get in, this man let us in. Chennai is in Tamil Nadu, and they don't speak a great deal of English there. They speak a lot of English across the whole of India. It's incredible, their capacity for languages. Nearly everybody you meet, educated or otherwise, have 3 languages. Hindu, which is the national language, English, and their own dialect. But in Tamil Nadu, they do that less. And we go into this hotel. This man was a bit cross, because he was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and he was a bit cross about letting us in. We got into the room, and we turned the lights out, and this kind of noise is always unnerving, in my opinion, when it's gone dark. So we're in this room, and that's what happens. The light goes back on again, nothing to see. It's like, And this, it was it was horrible. It was horrible. I really was struggling. I was thinking, I don't know, we're going to be here. How long we're going to be here, how we're going to cope, what am I going to do? Anyway, overnight, next morning, we get up, we go out, and it is incredibly hot, and it's incredibly that everything is just so busy and so together, and there's just lots of stuff, people moving all over the place and just doing stuff, and a very different sense of personal space. And I was overwhelmed. And I understand being overwhelmed. I've been overwhelmed before, but I was overwhelmed. But what happened to me over the next couple of days is I got more and more and more overwhelmed. And I just lost it. And when I say I lost it, what happened that day, we eventually found a way to get money out of the cash machine. We eventually found a cash machine and a way to do that. We went to the train station to try and book a ticket to go to our next destination. Who knew that buying a ticket for a train could be so different in a different country? There were about 20 different opportunities, 20 different desks. There were queues. Queues in India are not where you stand in front of the queue. What there is there is a huge queue in front of everyone, but women and old people can always come in front. Apparently, didn't know that. So obviously the queue, I wasn't moving any further forward because the people always coming in front of you, and they do that. It's not about being rude, that's just how they operate. But we didn't know what to do, and it took us, we just didn't know how to buy a ticket, we didn't know what to do next. I got a migraine, and I couldn't do anything, and I took to this bedroom, at this bed, and stayed there for about 12 hours while Judd went out to try and find how he could buy a ticket for us to move on to the next place. And you can't, no mobile phone at this point, because you can't buy a SIM card in India, outside of the country, you have to do it in the country. To do it in the country, you have to have lots of information, passports, etc., because of the whole terrorism thing. So we couldn't get one of those. Eventually, however, John managed to get us on a bus. He got us on a bus going out of Chennai, down the country to a place called